Do you want to stop shooting like my teammates and start shooting like me? Well, today I'm going to be giving y'all the best tips. We're going to be going over if high risk is worth the reward and everything like that. So make sure you do drop a like, sub, turn on post notifications. It's very much appreciated and everybody is welcome to the family. Now let's just jump straight into the video because this one's going to be a little bit lengthy. Now the first thing I'm going to say is I played 5 rec games with each one. I played 5 on high, I played 5 on normal, and I played 5 on low. So I'm going to give y'all my full honest opinion on each one and which one is best for you and which one will have you shooting like me out here. You know, I only missed 2 shots. I'm not going to show you games of me going perfect because I have not went perfect on this game. But this was from last night when I was testing all this stuff out. You guys see 14 hours ago. I figured out the sauce and I'm going to put y'all on to the sauce. I do have a lot of games where I shoot really good on this. I haven't had a game where I didn't miss a shot, but I've came really close and I probably will have that game very soon. Now, let's just jump straight into the tips and what happened last night when I was testing out these different things. Now, with that being said, the first one I tested was high risk. Like I said, high risk is what I've been using since the game dropped because that's the thing everybody says is comp or meta or whatever the case is. Now, high risk, there's no pure green window no matter which one you use. So basically, the odds are you're going to eventually miss a shot. Like, there's no way, even if you're timing it exactly the same and you're letting it go exactly the same, the odds are the game will make you miss a shot. That's just the way it goes. So there's no pure green window to where if you know your timing, you're greening every single shot without missing a single shot multiple games in a row. It is not happening on this game. There's not one person I've seen go 7 for 7 2 games in a row off 3-pointers. And I personally myself have done that last year. So with that being said, you are bound to miss a shot. So high risk is what everybody says is comp slash meta, but there is no pure green window in any of these options. So I tested them all out because yesterday, before I decided to test all this stuff out, somebody made an early on me. A early 3-pointer in my face, 65 overall or a 70 overall. It was honestly one of the craziest things I ever seen in 2K, and it honestly reminded me of like 17 where people used to make earlies or really mistimed shots. Back in the day, a lot of people used to make a lot of really mistimed shots. 18, even 19 and 20, there was a lot of really mistimed shots that were going in. Now, with that being said, high risk, pretty normal. You know what I'm saying? High risk is the one that I had that game on. The screenshot you just saw where all my teammates were selling me and I was the only one shooting good. This is on high risk, high reward. Right after I switched to my new jump shot with a very easy visual cue to see, this is how I shot. So high risk, high reward, I'm going to say is, you know, it's the pretty normal. If you master your visual cue and you really know your visual cue, high risk, high reward is probably what you're going to be wanting to play on, because if you know your visual cue, then there's no reason why you should be out here wanting to make mistimed shots, because you're not going to be mistiming a lot of your shots if you really know your shot. I really know my shot and I could shoot slight, like I barely ever shoot a early or a very late or anything like that unless it was like a lag spike. So if you really know your jump shot, high risk is the way to go. That's for the people who really know their jumper though, because I could green 5, 6 threes in a row. There's games like you guys seen 7 for 8. I missed my first shot and green 7 in a row right after that. So it is very possible to green a lot of shots in a row with high risk, high reward. You're bound to miss, like I said, but you know, is it really worth the reward? Now let's talk about normal. I tested out normal, and I tested normal with 2 different things. I tested it with rhythm shooting and I tested it with regular square shooting. So I did 5 and 5 with that. Now with the rhythm shooting, I noticed normal, if you're not somebody who's mastered rhythm shooting or even someone who has mastered it, it's really good. Rhythm shooting in normal is really good because you're making a lot of those excellent whites, because you know how you can double green it. If you don't double green it, a lot of them still go in when you have normal on. So honestly, when I was playing with normal, I played 5 games with high risk. I played 5 games with normal with rhythm shooting and I made about 7 whites. I played 5 games with the square button and I made 2 whites. There's a very big difference on the amount of whites I made with rhythm shooting compared to the regular square button. So for normal, I think if you're somebody who's using rhythm shooting, normal might be the cheese because rhythm shooting gives you a 70% boost to your green window regardless of what you're using. So you're going to have a really big green window even if you are using normal. It's going to be super easy for you to green with rhythm shooting, especially consistently. So, with that being said, I think normal is pretty cheesy for rhythm shooting. Rhythm shooting's really good on high risk too if you master it. But I also think normal is something to look out for because you can make a lot of those mistimed rhythm shots. So normal was pretty dangerous with the rhythm shots. With the regular square shooting, I think it's pretty good for casuals. I mean, I greened about 2, 3 maybe at most in a row, and then it seemed like I kind of struggled to green 4 in a row or 5 in a row, but I don't really struggle to green 5 in a row on high risk. But I did make whites. So if you're somebody that doesn't know your jump shot fully, or you're just a casual and you don't want to come out here and miss so many shots, just run it on normal. I think normal is a good way to go for people who are either learning rhythm shooting or people who are just casuals at the game and don't play the game a lot and just want to come on here and be able to green, a few shots in a row, make them miss time shots, and just be able to overall have a good time on the game. Now, when it comes to low risk, I don't think low risk is it, man. I'm not gonna lie to y'all, I played on low risk. I didn't even make it through the 5 games. I was struggling to green consistently. Like, I greened maybe 2 shots in a row, and that was once. Like, with normal, I greened 2 shots in a row pretty consistently. I greened 3, tried to get it to 4, but sometimes you're just not going to have the best shooting games. I had a lot easier of a time greening consistently with normal, knowing my jump shot, than I did knowing my jump shot with low risk. I just felt like they were just giving me full bars. Like, I was literally timing it, I felt like, perfectly, and they was just giving me a lot of full bars and would barely let me green it consistent. There was full bars going in, don't get me wrong. I made a lot of full bars, but it was not worth using because, just to me, as somebody who knows their jump shot, it just didn't seem like a viable option for me because I knew I was timing my stuff right and they were making me miss. And they will do that on high risk too, don't get me wrong. They'll do it on every single one because, like I told y'all a minute ago, there's no pure green window. They will make you miss when you time it right sometimes. But it seemed like on low risk, it was kind of like in previous 2Ks where you felt like you would green it and it would feel like a real full bar and you would wonder why it didn't go in or why it wasn't green because you just timed it perfect and they didn't give it to you. So low risk, I definitely feel like is not the way to go. So that's my opinion on all 3 after testing them all, playing a good amount of games with them all, taking a good amount of shots with them all. I mean, I was taking 10 to 15 shots a game, playing 5 games each with these. So I got a pretty good estimate of how I feel about each one. Like I said, normal's cheese for the rhythm shooting. It's solid for casuals on square. But if you master either square in your visual cue or you master the rhythm shooting, I definitely think high risk is the way to go because out of all the tests I did today, I could not green like the way I just told you. I greened 7 shots in a row after missing my first shot right here. I could not have a game like that trying out all the rest of them. I just could not repeat. I could not green 6 shots in a row, 5 shots in a row. So high risk, if you really master the timing, I definitely think you could, you could go crazy with it. Normal, you could definitely, I feel like normal with rhythm shooting, you could definitely green 5 to 6 in a row. You could definitely make a lot of shots in a row because rhythm shooting, the boost it has to the green window, you could run it on normal and shoot the way I do with high risk. So it's all about what you master and how much you play the game. Like I said, casuals, if you're shooting with square, you might as well just run it on normal because you'll still be able to green a couple in a row and you'll make those mistimed shots too. So you'll get both sides of the coin with that. Now, with that being said, now that we talked about which visual, which shot timing profile is best for what, now let's get into these jump shots. Let's get into everything else. Now, I told y'all a couple minutes ago that I found a nice jump shot with a really easy visual cue. So I'm going to go ahead and show y'all this new jump shot. It's pretty much like a base 3. It's super easy to time. I'm running it on release. And it's just chicken, bro. I'm not gonna lie to y'all. It is chicken. Now I'm gonna go to my tall guard and show y'all my tall guard jump shot. Then we're gonna get into some tips. I'm gonna show y'all each visual cue so you guys could see what the visual cues are for what. And, you know, just give y'all a few tips on how to shoot better. Then we'll go ahead and wrap this video up. So the jump shot I just showed y'all was for small guards. Now the jump shot I'm about to show y'all is for tall builds. I used a different visual cue on my tall build because on tall guards the jump shots are slower. That means they're easier to time and easier to green for me personally. So I like to use push because the jump shots are slower and I like to let my finger go off a square pretty quick. So I like to use push on that, but since the jump shots are really fast on small guards, that's why you guys see me using release, because I don't like, you know, using really fast jump shots. So with that being said, I like using my small guard jump shot on release. But these are the two jump shots. Now I'm going to go ahead and switch real quick and show you guys the visual cues so then you guys can see what visual cues are what. And this is one thing I also want to talk to you guys about. This is a tip right here to help you shoot better. The visual cues move, okay? So like every jump shot pretty much, it has the same exact visual cue, but since it's a different speed, the visual cue comes at a different time, if that makes sense. So like you guys are seeing here, after you green 4 shots in a row, they slow your jumper down a lot, so your visual cue is going to be a lot later. With your visual cue being a lot later, it's still greenable, but it's way harder to green this one because you're not expecting it to slow down crazy, and a lot of people haven't mastered the visual cue. Now with that being said, let's go ahead and talk about the visual cues real quick so then you guys know what visual cue is what. So as far as visual cues, this is how the visual cues work, right? So the visual cue changes when you let your finger go off a square and where, like, you know what I'm saying? Jump is right there, set point is right there, push is right here, and release is right here. So release would be when your hands are pretty much releasing the ball and fully letting them go to get into the shot. Set point, you know, when your arms are bent above your head. That's pretty much the visual cues and how the visual cues work. And I'm going to tell you guys, mastering a visual cue is one of the biggest things that you could do to green better, like green more consistent on this game. Going off of muscle memory with what I just showed you on how it slows down, switches. We still have a million shot timings on this game. So if you're going off of muscle memory, that's a huge mistake that you're making, and it's making you shoot a lot worse. Now, let's go ahead and talk about a few tips that I got for y'all before we go ahead and wrap this video up. Now, one of the tips I got is either rock boost or don't rock boost, either rock hot zones or don't rock hot zones. If you're going from having them to not having them to having them to not having them, it's slowing up your jump shot, it's speeding your jump shot up. When you put jump shot boost on, it speeds your jump shot up just a tiny bit. And if you go from having it to not having it to having it to not having it, you're switching your jump shot speeds and probably making yourself shoot more inconsistent. So either rock with boost, either rock with hot zones, or don't rock with them at all. So you got to pick one and, you know, rock with it. You can't just sit here and mix things up and be inconsistent with it, because then you're going to start shooting inconsistent. Another thing, like I said with the visual cues, you need to learn that visual cue in order to shoot consistent. If you don't know your visual cue, it's going to be really hard for you to shoot consistent. And with that being said, you also get a 70% boost for using rhythm shooting. I talked about this earlier. That 70% boost is huge. It don't matter what you guys are doing. It don't matter, you know, if you're on normal, low risk, you're going to be able to green with rhythm shooting. And rhythm shooting is one of the keys to greening more shots this year. It's 70% boost. It's the biggest boost we've ever had to shooting in history of 2K. So with that being said, you guys need to learn how to use it. It's not something you could pass up on. My fault if y'all hear my dog in the back. We're going to get ready, wrap this video up so I could go ahead and take him outside. But the last tip that I got for you guys is that moving green windows. We talked about it. With the rhythm shooting, we talked about it all. One thing about rhythm shooting that makes this a lot easier to shoot with than square, a lot of people might be like, oh, I don't want to learn to use it. But look, square, you're going to get a million different shot timings. It doesn't matter what you do, you're always going to get crazy shot timings. That's why you have to learn the visual cue. With rhythm shooting, there's less shot timings. There's maybe 3 or 4, but you're getting way less shot timings, which makes it way easier for you to learn the visual cue or even learn the timing of what you're doing with the stick, how long you hold it down, how long you hold it up, and it makes it a lot easier to green. Rhythm shooting has the biggest boost in 2K history as far as shooting, so I'm telling y'all, learn it or you'll regret it this year, because it's going to be one of them things that everybody needs to know. Now, with all that being said, man, your boys got to go. I hope y'all enjoyed the video. Gave y'all the best tips I possibly could as far as just, high risk, low risk, normal risk, jump shots, shooting tips, everything like that. Your boy Harn is out.